Good evening, everyone. I'm Alison Spann, and tonight, in lieu of a video, I have the distinct honor of saying a few words about one of tonight's honorees. And I sure hope I do him justice, because shortly before I walked on stage, I dropped my speech in a puddle of water, so please bear with me tonight. Many of you in this room probably know General Fenton by his many impressive titles. Green Beret, Commander of the U.S. Special Operations Command. He has certainly led an extraordinary life as a career Special Forces officer, dedicating himself to some of the most demanding and often unseen missions in defense of our nation. And while I could spend my allotted time listing off his many achievements, number one, I don't think we'd get out of here at a reasonable hour. And number two, I really don't think those things fully capture the heart of the man behind them. So if you don't mind, I'm going to share a little bit about my personal experience with General Bryan Fenton. What many in this room probably don't get the chance to see is the way General Fenton chooses to lead, not just through strategy or strength, but through compassion. Despite the immense weight of his responsibilities, I have personally witnessed him taking the time to connect with an often overlooked group within our community, the children of the fallen, those whose parents served and gave everything in defense of all that we hold dear. I first met General Fenton in 2023, but it turns out our connection began more than 2 decades earlier in 2001 on the Balkan Peninsula. You see, like General Fenton, my father was in the same line of work. He was a paramilitary operations officer with CIA's ground branch, and in 2001, their paths crossed in Bosnia during Operation Joint Forge. Unfortunately, that would be the last time they worked together, as my father was killed in November of that year, becoming the first American to fall in the global war on terror. More than 20 years later, General Fenton would meet another Spann, this time not on the battlefield, but at a Soft Week event honoring the remarkable work of our nation's intelligence community. During our first meeting, General Fenton shared with me that he had worked with my dad all those years ago, just months before he was killed. And if anyone in here has lost a parent, you know that when you lose a parent, especially at such a young age, I was 9, your memory of them is frozen in time. I will never get the opportunity to know Mike Spann as an adult. And 20 years later, it's rare, almost unheard of, to meet someone that I haven't already met who knew him or even served beside him. So when General Fenton took the time to talk with me and share our connection, it was more than just a kind gesture. It was a gift, a rare glimpse into the life of a man I will never really get the chance to know. And that is something I will always appreciate and I will always remember. Since that moment in 2023, General Fenton has continued to show up, and not just for me, for so many in our community. Each year during Soft Week, the Spookstock Foundation, which is a nonprofit that I am so proud to work for, brings together children of severely wounded and fallen special operations personnel for a week of community building in Tampa. And since 2023, General Fenton has made it a point to connect with these kids. And I don't mean that he stops by for a quick photo op. No, he comes and he listens to their stories. He takes the time to ask them about their future plans, and he genuinely makes the effort to speak to each and every one of them. I have personally witnessed this. I also have SOF operators who come as my chaperones, and they've said to me after these events how impressed they are with the time that he has taken out of his day to connect with these kids. And let's be clear, I'm sure some of you in this room know, Soft Week is not a quiet event. It draws leaders and innovators from all around the world. And during that week as commander, General Fenton is pulled in 100 different directions every hour of the day. But he still takes the time to meet with our small group of 20 to 30 beneficiaries. I know people with far fewer demands who do not make the time to do that, but General Fenton does. Quietly, humbly, and consistently. For me, that tells you everything you need to know about the kind of person he is and the devotion that he has for this community. He understands that what truly makes this community strong is the people within it. The U.S. Special Operations community is led by what's known as the 5 soft truths. And the first one of those is humans are more important than hardware. That principle says that the right people working together can accomplish more than a perfectly equipped force with the wrong mindset. And General Fenton embodies that truth. He knows that what makes this community so powerful isn't just its gear or its training, it's the people, the individual men and women who serve. And yes, the families that serve alongside them. Because the most meaningful way to honor the fallen and to honor those who have served this nation is to take care of what mattered and what matters most to them, which is their legacies and their children. General Fenton knows that. He lives that. And it's no surprise. He and his family understand the cost of service deeply. His daughter, Nora, who is here with us tonight, is currently serving as an Army intelligence officer. And that kind of understanding, the kind that can only come from a lived experience, shapes the way he leads. So tonight, we don't just honor a general. We honor a man who leads with empathy, a man who chooses to see people, especially those who are too often overlooked, a man who reminds us that legacy isn't just found in missions or in medals. It's found in the lives you touch long after the battle is over. So tonight I say congratulations to my friend, General Bryan Fenton. Thank you.
Well, thanks very much. Good evening to you all, and congratulations to Suzanne and Brad and the entire Cipher Brief team on pulling together such a terrific event, which really feels like a wonderful family reunion. Congratulations as well on all that you have done to build this extraordinary organization. It's hard to believe that it is only 10 years and all that you have achieved during that time. I want to thank Alison for her very, very powerful reflections and her remarks. And note that I was also serving with Mike Spann in Bosnia and with tonight's honoree in an organization that is now known publicly as the U.S. Clandestine Joint Task Force Justice Assured. I was dual-hatted. They were full-time in it. I was the Chief of Operations for the NATO Stabilization Force, but the number 2 in this organization, and it was truly a privilege to serve with both of them and all those who were part of that in a year when we sent more war criminals to The Hague than the entire time prior to that in Bosnia, and also conducted the first counter-terrorist operation after 9/11. It was actually in Sarajevo, not in Afghanistan. It's a privilege to be with you this evening to introduce General Bryan Fenton, of course, the 13th Commander of the United States Special Operations Command and the inaugural recipient of the new Cipher Brief Impact in the Battlespace Award. Now, together with Alison, and in the absence of an introductory film, I'm filling the gap with my remarks, but both Bryan and I are very conscious that we are all that stands between all of you and that fantastic bar that is right through those doors. I've known and admired Bryan Fenton for some 30 years as he led Special Operations Forces and those who enabled them on innumerable tours in tough places around the world, including in both theaters of war and Central Command, in which I was privileged to command U.S. and coalition forces. What those in the special mission ranks in particular, and that was where Bryan was serving for some 13 years, did in those days was truly path-breaking, extraordinarily challenging, and of enormous importance, as many in this room experienced firsthand. And I will always be grateful to them for that, and to Bryan for his leadership of them in Bosnia, in Iraq, Afghanistan, the Philippines, and other locations in Latin America, Europe, Africa, the Mideast, and the Asia-Pacific regions. When I observed Bryan back in the day, it was clear that he was destined to be one of our military's top special operations and joint force leaders. Since then, that assessment has been more than validated, as he's gone on to serve just as a general officer alone as the Deputy Commanding General of the Army's 25th Infantry Division, the Commander of the Special Operations Forces in the Pacific, the Deputy Commander of U.S. Indo-Pacific Command, the Senior Military Assistant to 2 Secretaries of Defense, the commander of the Joint Special Operations Command, and then, of course, now Command of U.S. Special Operations Command. In Bryan's current position, he leads more than 30,000 men and women in 80 countries today. These include, of course, Army Rangers, Green Berets, and Night Stalkers, Navy SEALs, Air Commandos, Marine Raiders, even Space Guardians now, as well as all those who support and enable them. As many of us saw throughout the wars of the post-9/11 era, our special operators and intelligence professionals in particular have worked side by side to target and hunt the most violent extremists, the most lethal terrorists, and the most dangerous insurgents, and also to train, equip, and partner with the special operations forces of our allied and partner nations around the world. Throughout it all, especially as the lines between Title 10 military operations and Title 50 covert action authorities have often blurred, as I experienced personally as a combat commander and then as a CIA director, our best intelligence officers and our best special operators have worked ever more closely together to help defend America's security at home, as well as the security of our closest allies and U.S. citizens around the world. In an era defined by ever-evolving threats, renewed great power rivalry, and transformative technological developments, Bryan has repeatedly provided bold, people-focused, forward-thinking, transformative leadership at the helms of our special operations units and commands to achieve enormous impact on battlefields and also in partner engagement across the globe. Beyond all that, Bryan is a proud native of Tennessee, a loyal graduate of Notre Dame University, a devoted husband to his wife, Dawn, and a very proud father of 2 young Army intelligence officers, one of whom, as you heard, is here with us this evening and very much following in his footsteps. In view of all that, it is very fitting that General Bryan Fenton is the first recipient of the Cipher Brief Impact in the Battlespace Award. Congratulations, Bryan.
Well, thank you, everybody. And I do recognize that I'm the only thing standing between everybody and the speakeasy and anything else that's in store for us tonight. But before I begin, I do want to congratulate all the other awardees. Congratulations, and to you and your families, and for everything you've done for this nation, for everything you stand for. Thank you very much for joining us tonight, and congratulations. I'm getting a little scared looking down at this photo. I don't know who this guy is up on the screen. I do very often have folks come up and say, "You're really not as mean as you look." And I say, "Don't tell the bad guys." That's what I do that for. Suzanne, thanks, and Brad, for such a great night. Amazing. I think we're all just so honored to be here, and everybody having such a great time. And then I would offer that it's an absolute honor to receive this award on behalf of the 70,000 members of your Special Operations Command, uniformed and civilians, and with 7,000 of them this very moment in 80 countries across the globe as we speak, doing the nation's business. Alison, wherever you may be, thank you for those kind words and your friendship. And thank you for the incredible work you do that is a critical part of taking care of a community of those of the fallen, the families and the children. And anybody who's seen Alison in action, I think you know very well exactly what I mean. She's absolutely amazing, and any of the words she may have even begun to share about me, I think they're 10x for Alison Spann. Alison, your work is remarkable and inspirational. Thank you for what you do. General Petraeus, sir, thank you. Your leadership and mentorship shaped the paths of many and left a lasting mark on both the intelligence and the military communities. As I thought about this tonight, I'd say you're the recruiting poster for an organization that gave birth to Special Operations Command and to the intelligence community, that of the Office of Strategic Services, or the OSS. You're the person Wild Bill Donovan described when looking for an OSS operative. And I quote, "We need PhDs that can win in a bar fight." You used to be able to do that, sir. I don't know where you are right now. We'll check it out right after the end of this event. Or we'll do some push-ups. It is great to see so many folks that we know and some new faces out in the audience. Special operators, private sector, journalists, and the intelligence community. As I thought about those last two categories, they're actually very similar. Both are skeptical, both ask tough questions, and neither believes your story on the first try. So I won't tell any stories tonight, but I do want to talk briefly about the importance of this community manifested by everyone in the audience and all those that you represent, and your impact on the battle space. But before I go any further, as we were backstage, General Petraeus was giving me a bit of advice. He said, "Fenton," and he said it to you all as well, "you're the last award recipient after a very long night, and the audience will be restless, especially Thomas and Vickers. So keep your remarks short." And then, as a history buff that he is, he goes to a history lesson. "Fenton, the Gettysburg Address was the greatest speech in American history and lasted just 3 minutes. On the other hand, Caesar spoke in Pompey Theater for 3 hours, and then his audience killed him. Don't be that guy. I'll try not to." On a serious note, in the darkest days of the Second World War, when tyranny cast its long shadow across the globe, the OSS was born out of necessity. It was there in the crucible of conflict that the blueprint for modern intelligence and special operations was drawn. An OSS officer once described the community as, and I quote, "They came from all walks of life: academics, adventurers, diplomats, journalists, soldiers, and each brought something indispensable to the mission." Some historians say that the OSS shortened the war by up to 5 months. Little thought experiment here. Imagine if that capability had been unleashed before September of 1939. They were a powerful community with a purpose, just like all here tonight. To the Cipher team, Suzanne, and your tiny but mighty team, thank you for what you do. Fusing together such a great community, focused and dedicated on national security. Now, last week, my Senate and House testimonies, where I missed my great friend Paul Nakasone, who had been with me the last couple years, thankfully, I outlined how many of us certainly see this as the most complex, asymmetric, and hybrid threat security environment, at least in my 38 years of service. From communist China, Russia, Iran, North Korea, and terrorist organizations. They all pose significant threats in isolation. However, we're increasingly seeing a fusion of these foes working together across the globe to undermine and directly challenge the United States and our partners and allies. And as a result, you can bet we, your special operations team, are busier than ever as an antidote, I like to call it, to the poison, to that fusion of foes, as we dismantle terrorist organizations, rapidly respond to crisis, and bolster deterrence. Yet I'd argue that another powerful antidote to the fusion of these foes is what the Cipher Brief has brought together in this room, a fusion all its own, maybe a current day manifestation of the OSS. And this community, and that type of community, is needed more than ever. The brains, bravery, and commitment of the diplomats, intelligence community, journalists, storytellers are indispensable right now to the success of your SOCOM team and many national security teams. In a world as complex and volatile as the one we face today, no single department, no single agency, no single profession can carry the weight of freedom on its own. The greatest strength of our nation is a sense of community toward shared purpose. And as we've heard tonight, the impact of storytelling, the need for journalism, the requirement to be at the cutting edge from cyber to fiber, seabed to space are critical, and I would offer indispensable for this nation. What history demanded, what we require now, and dare I say into the future, is a powerful community just like this one. A community of patriots, vigilant sentinels in our republic, and in every sense of the word, siblings in service. So let us remember, our strength lies in this community. A community of purpose, a community with a mission, fused together with an unbreakable bond to serve. So if you're here tonight, we know you support this community of quiet professionals driven by duty and service, or you're a key part of it. And you, in my estimation, are the ones truly impacting the battle space. Suzanne, thanks again for bringing us all together. And I'll wrap up with maybe some parting word of advice. If you ever find yourself in a bar fight, make sure you have General Petraeus on speed dial. He's undefeated. And then I'll close with, we are the land of the free and the home of the brave because of this great community. Please keep your special operations teams in thoughts and prayers, and thank you for all you do. God bless each and every one of you, and God bless the United States of America. Thank you.